we were talking to family offices. These are people with hundreds of millions of dollars of assets. I would say, and I'm speaking a little bit anecdotally, 100% of family offices had some crypto, right? And they're getting more serious about that over time. That's moving into the general kind of investing mainstream. So I think the first key takeaway from my colleagues over at Parthenon is there's nothing about crypto assets or tokenized assets that is a fad. Like anybody who sees that anymore, that viewpoint is out of date. And Larry Fink from BlackRock, who was on your CNBC just the other day, was saying, I see Bitcoin as a legitimate asset. I see it's comparable to gold. Right. We're tokenizing on Ethereum. I mean, what he said, the stuff he said was music to my ears, although I was a little upset that I feel like he stole all my talking points like 3 hours before I got to make them in my other discussion. But I get very excited about this. The thing that people should kind of keep in mind and have a little bit of caution about is more money into crypto and blockchain is not a rising tide that lifts all boats. I believe we will see investment markets behave in relatively similar ways. And what I mean by this is, let me give you an example from the world of precious metals. Gold is $14 trillion, 13 to 14 trillion in market cap. That is more than 10 times larger than the next largest precious metal, right? And when investors want to go into precious metals and as a hedge for inflation, for example, they buy gold. They don't buy generally palladium or silver or any other sort of specialized precious metal. I think we will see the same kind of behavior in cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is digital gold. It will behave like digital gold, and I think it will be as dominant to other crypto assets as gold is to other precious metals. Similarly, Ethereum has become the dominant kind of tokenized asset and smart contract platform. I think there'll be kind of a similar effect there, where Ethereum will soak up more than 90% of all these tokenized real-world assets that companies like BlackRock and others are talking about deploying.
Apps for fast food and food delivery to self-checkout and self-service kiosks. Your favorite grocery stores and fast food chains are changing fast. Popular franchises like McDonald's plan to invest $2 billion into bringing AI and robots into stores and drive-thrus in 2024. In 2022, American grocery stores spent $13 billion on tech automations. The Food Industry Association expects spending on things like smart carts and revamped self-checkout aisles to grow 400% through 2025.
Well, automation is playing a bigger role in fast food, and it will play a bigger role still. The problem is, with minimum wage hikes in places like California, with other cost pressures still coming through, it's very expensive now to run a fast food business. And whilst fast food retailers have tried to remedy that by passing on prices to customers, customers, of course, don't like that, and volumes go down.
Now, it's working to bring more Japanese inspiration to its American stores. Convenience stores have historically made their money selling tobacco and gas, but now, as cigarette sales continue to decline and many expect gas sales to slow, many are racing to find other sources of revenue and doubling down on food. But shifting a business this massive is a major undertaking. This is the economics of 7-Eleven.
ChatGPT is the top-performing doctor in a new study conducted on 5 AI language models. It scored 98% on the same 50 questions that doctors have to answer to get a medical license, beating competitors Claude, Gemini, Grok, and Hugging Chat/Llama. Joining us right now with more on this is Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He's former FDA commissioner, also a CNBC contributor. And Dr. Gottlieb, I have to say I learned a lot reading through your article that's now posted on this. I think the thing I learned that shocked me the most is that doctors only have to get a 60% to basically get a passing grade on this.
Yeah, and the average score is a 75%, and all of these large language models pass the medical licensing exam. So what we did was we fed 50 questions from the USMLE Step 3 medical licensing exam. So this is the third in a 3-part series of exams that doctors take. Typically, you'll take this Step 3 while you're in your first year of residency, and it's the final step before getting your medical license. So we fed 50 questions from this exam to the top 5 large language models. We were expecting more separation, and quite frankly, I wasn't expecting the models to do as well as they did. The reason why we wanted to do this was a lot of consumers and physicians are using these large language models to answer medical questions, and there really wasn't good evidence out there on which ones were better. There were some studies looking at individual models, mostly ChatGPT, but no one had compared across the different models. And the results were really striking to me, the fact that ChatGPT got a near perfect score. And the other thing that ChatGPT was able to do was contextualize its responses. So it didn't just give you the answer, but it explained why it chose a particular answer and then why it didn't choose other answers. So it was very descriptive and gave you a lot of good information.
I have been Googling my medical symptoms for years and scaring the heck out of myself, convincing myself I have everything wrong with me under the sun. Are you telling me that ChatGPT is going to be better at that, or is it going to be more of the same because I am clearly just somebody who worries way too much about things?
Yeah, look, I think the large language models are certainly better than using open source, search techniques like Google. They provide richer information, more descriptive information, and a lot of them will also provide references as well, or references certainly if you ask for them. And in some of the language models, we didn't look at Perplexity specifically, but that will certainly provide links to sources of information. But ChatGPT did the same thing. Llama did that. Grok was doing that. So they were providing links back to the source information, so you're able to go back and look at a richer data set.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And make sure you go to TikTok, like and follow, spread everywhere. And this channel, guys, like, subscribe, and spread it everywhere. The movie just keeps continuing. We have Trump at the Republican National Convention. We have Dana White speaking. And don't forget, he smacked his girlfriend on TV. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. We have Hulk Hogan speaking at the convention. And I'm not going to lie, I have to watch that. I haven't watched a Republican National Convention or a Democrat convention. But I'm definitely a Hulkamaniac. And I know he's going to come out there with his music. I got to watch it. It's going to be hilarious. Now, guys, we have the Ethereum spot ETFs on its way. And we know that's going to help these digital assets adoption. And then, guys, don't forget we have the old CFTC head called Ethereum, the new internet. But we know Ethereum ecosystem is definitely the new banking. But these Ethereum spot ETFs should launch within the next 2 weeks. And then we have all the major franchises. They are all turned to robotics and AI. That means this is a plan. And they're spending billions. And when it comes to food, grocery stores, the first step was the app. They threw the carrot out there. You get discounts only if you download this app. That was the first step. And then, of course, the second step is delivery. And now the next steps will be robotics and AI, delivering your food. And then also doing the order for you because they already know what you want. Remember, due to all this data, they're going to know you better than you know yourself. And speaking of knowing you better than you know yourself, we have ChatGPT is going to be your new doctor. And we know that's very dangerous. But if you're talking about doctors as a whole, I definitely see ChatGPT being a whole lot better because the only thing they want to do is write you a prescription for a drug. ChatGPT will be able to give you a more healthier option because we know big pharma is big business. Never forget, all the medicine we need, the Most High gave it to us already. Remember, these colleges, they send these students to these tribes. Remember, the tribes had all the cures. And then they take it back and add the little chemicals to it to make it addictive, to make it less potent. So therefore, they can keep getting paid. And then, guys, we have the government spending, and it has to be cut. We know the United States world reserve currency is going to end. And that means they have to cut back on all this spending. And then it also means the government is going to shut down for a certain period. That will give them time to implement this new digital economy. The same way the C word allowed them to move in a lot of this technology, the drums are beating is going to allow them to push in a lot of this technology. Cyber attacks, push in the technology. The Birdman,
pushing the technology. Guys, remember, this is all about all these distractions that are going on. It's all about the fourth industrial revolution. So when you see an event tied into this new digital economy, and that's the reason why Biden stated 5% cap on these rental properties. Why? Because we know they need affordable homes. And then on top of it, we know a lot of people are going to be out of work. So guess what? The government is going to give you universal basic income, universal high income, and it probably will give you maybe a 5 to 10% increase based on cost of living. But remember, guys, we're going to go through hyper deflation. The world reserve currency is over. When they printed 80% of all money in existence in 2 years, they destroyed the dollar. And this is a plan. It takes 3 to 5 years, but we're going to see a whole lot more affordable homes being built because we know they cause the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. The people are going to beg for cheaper homes, and they're going to bring them in, along with that free money. And who caused it all? That's right, guys, the Fed. Your food is high. Your insurance is high. Rent, if you're buying a new home, is high. But it was all caused by the Fed money printing, and we know the politicians gave them the permission. But now they're ready to cut rates, but guess what? It's too late. The damage has been done. So now we're going to hear those drums getting louder. We're going to see a whole lot more distractions, a whole lot more crises. So therefore, they can bring in this fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
We're going to have to come to grips with spending, no matter what tax policy we have.
You have not heard the word cutting spending during the Republican National Convention at all.
That's the math.
That is the math. By the way, Democrats aren't talking about doing that either.
No,
but you would think that the Republicans might.
But the crux of the matter is with tax policies. I'm like, what's the maximum revenue you're going to get?
Jay, the crux is whether
it's not a big number.
Jay, the crux is whether tax reductions are still part of the platform of the Republican Party, because you're hearing that the ascension of J.D. Vance legitimizes this whole movement called American Companies, whatever you want to call it. Lighthizer on the board of this. They don't want to cut corporate taxes. They want to raise corporate taxes. The populist movement that he represents, J.D. Vance, you can't assume that the next move would be cutting taxes. If they had their way, is Trump going to say no?
I think this is why.
Is he a classic Reaganomics guy, Trump, or not? Is he a populist that's going to do all these you started with saying that Wall Street's bad. I mean, you didn't say it, but that's what we heard last night.
And Wall Street, when Wall Street and the government get together.
Okay, that's corporatism. That's
right?
not. Is capitalism going to be the foundation? They're not going to be apologizing
let me be
for capitalism.
Clear. Capitalism will absolutely be the foundation.
Be apologizing.
Why are we better off than Europe? So much better off than Europe over the last 25 years, because we have nimble labor.
But the organization I'm talking about is more like progressivism, and they have the ear of a lot of Republicans right there. I heard it wasn't your grandfather's Republican Party.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. President Biden this week proposing a 5% annual cap on residential rent increases. Is it a way to shield working class families from inflation or government overreach? That's the question of the morning, and John Ford is here to weigh in with the answer. What do you think?
Hey, Andrew, it's government overreach. I understand wanting to bring families some relief from soaring shelter costs, but this isn't the way to do it, and in fact, it'll probably make things worse. Here's the situation. In a speech Tuesday in Nevada, the president asked Congress to pass legislation that would strip tax advantages from certain landlords who raise rent more than 5% in a year. And the rule wouldn't apply to all landlords, just those who own more than 50 units. Now, on the face of it, this sounds good. After all, rising rents are a big part of the inflation vice that's squeezing working class families. But government intervention, I should say, in free markets tends to have bad consequences. Rent caps weaken a landlord's incentive to fix up properties, and they fail to account for factors like the higher cost of insurance and natural changes in the desirability of neighborhoods. Rents aren't high right now just because landlords are greedy. They're high because COVID stimulus pumped dollars into the economy and raised all kinds of costs. Then higher interest rates locked prospective first-time home buyers out of the market because sellers won't sell. That hardens demand for rentals, pushing prices up. You want to make rent more affordable, incentivize building more quality, affordable rentals. Don't do price caps.
No, thank you, Becky. I think that's probably the right assumption this time. For the last year or so, as you and I have discussed, the markets have sometimes been ahead of the Fed. I think right now there's a much better alignment. As I listen to the Fed speak, including, importantly, Chair Powell, they're clearly talking about the dual mandate. They're clearly signaling an increasing confidence. So I, too, believe that a September cut right now seems like the more likely outcome.
Holy cow, stop the presses. Roger, that is the first time I've heard you say that. And you've been right every step along the way in this journey. As the former vice chair, you obviously know what you're talking about on these things.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and
You know, when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.